Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we'll be talking about the weather, and we'll be talking about the pattern that has been going on, producing various sorts of extremes and anomalies in terms of the weather. Yesterday, if you recall, we were talking about I think I called it a cool outbreak or a cold outbreak across the eastern U.S. and that is the same pattern that is we're going to be talking about today, but right now or in today's video we'll be slightly more focusing on the west again with the heat. Again, they're responsible for each other. The heat in the west kind of forms the cool or the conditions for that cool air in the east, and that cool air kind of makes that heat a bit more stubborn and doesn't really allow it to move as much across the west. So yesterday we were just more focusing on the cool side of it, and today we'll be focusing more on the heat, but I will be probably just going over, as much as possible. But yeah, the concern is growing for the Northwest in terms of the heat, the drought, the lack of rain, all of that stuff. Before we get into this further, if you guys would like to support this channel, you could do so by subscribing, obviously, only if you enjoy this channel, if you like the content. Otherwise, just thanks for watching, I guess. But if you're a returning viewer, liking the video is awesome, since you already know what this content's about. And if anyone wants to drop a comment, old or new, it is obviously very welcome to comments, concerns, constructive criticism, all of that stuff. I read and answer most comments. All right, let's get into this. So first off, I just want to take a look at the 8 to 14 day outlook, kind of to show you what the Climate Prediction Center, which is really a pretty good source of weather, thinks will be going on into mid to early half of July. So notice July 12th through the 18th, right? 8 to 14 days. Notice they're pretty expansive with that cool air. I would say more expansive than the heat, but where the heat is, it's across the similar areas that have been dealing with the heat. The northern U.S., which is a bit cool, notice it's kind of stretched out all across the northern U.S., but it doesn't go far to the south, and of course the west. Notice that 50% right there. You may be wondering, how is that a 50%? Well, again, this is a probability. So they say 50% chance of being above average here, likewise 50% chance of being below average. Precip wise, really where it's cooler, more rainy, where it's warmer, more drier, which is why this is a concern. It's been pretty darn hot, dry, and that will continue, which is why, again, the video is called what it is. I don't know the exact title name. I kind of yet to come up with it as I'm recording this, but probably something along the lines of, the concerns grow, this pattern is concerning. And it may sound like I'm a broken machine with these titles, but really, that's the main story to talk about, other than the tropical depression storm, which I will mention, but I don't really want to take away from, the National Hurricane Center. Let them do the forecasting on such a significant event. Weather amateurs can have fun with all different types of weather, I guess, trying to forecast it, but a tropical storm hurricane usually is kind of a very significant event, and I kind of try staying away from that. Also, I don't really feel experienced enough to talk about it as much as these patterns and its climatology, which, again, I'm not a professional on, but I have probably just more observational and experimental experience, if you will, talking about it. So that's why I choose to talk about this more. Notice 6 to 10 day outlook, which is less further out, which is why they have higher confidence. Notice 60% chance across the Missouri, Illinois, Iowa area there being below average, and in that blue, again, the chances decrease, but they're favoring it. And then notice the heat, 80% chance. So they're pretty darn confident about the West staying in that heat. And this is, again, through the 6th through the 10th. So really, from day 1 to the 6th of this outlook, it's not shown on here, but it's pretty much the same pattern. Notice precip-wise, again, mimicking where it's drier, it is most likely warmer, though notice that portions of the southwest could be wet or, just normal, not necessarily dry, so that's good news. And notice portions of the east and a lot of this kind of the central U.S. Staying pretty moist. But again, concerning if that were to be the case across the northern U.S., dry and hot. Okay, so let's take a look now at the National Weather Service, see what they show. So this is as of currently. Notice we do have a few sprinkled river flood advisories or just flash flood warnings, advisories, flood advisories by themselves. Again, there have been these monsoons going on here for a while, and they will continue to go on into the next several days. And notice that's what they're saying in the forecast here. Afternoon, evening thunderstorms isolated north of I-40. I don't really know where that exactly lies, but if you're in this area, you probably know. And I just kind of want to show you that, again, flash flooding is possible in these areas. Notice right there they have an excessive heat warning right there for the Grand Canyon. Obviously, it's a valley. it's a canyon, so I'm assuming these temperatures can get pretty darn hot across these areas. Look at that, 92, 94. Again, probably much hotter in the canyon itself. I'm assuming excessive. Sorry, that's a flash flood warning. They probably got a thunderstorm. These are very slow moving, so once it sets up over a certain area, it could go on for a while. Notice you do have some severe thunderstorm watches put up and some warnings, obviously. Again, affecting mainly the panhandles of both Texas and Oklahoma, but also extending into Kansas, Colorado, and New Mexico. Then notice you do have those hurricane warnings, tropical storm watches of all kinds, and yeah, I think that's actually a tropical storm warning. Yeah, no hurricane warnings, at least in this area. Yeah, they have a tropical storm watch for Florida, so definitely, nothing I would say historic in strength, but it shouldn't be underestimated. Whether it's a weak tropical storm, weak hurricane or a tropical storm, the impacts are usually pretty similar. It's pretty bad. But notice in the Northwest, it's not as lit up as it was a week ago with all of these excessive heat warning watches, right? All of that bad stuff. But there are still advisories, and they're still saying it's going to be hot, at least for this time of the year. 97, maybe not 120, but that doesn't really kind of diminish the degree of the heat that is going on right now. Notice right there, South Dakota, Minnesota, there's a little corner right here where they have some excessive heat watches. 98 degrees, that is rather warm forecasted. So that's going on with the U.S. right now. Interactive radar, some showers towards the Gulf. Again, though, as I mentioned in previous episodes, most of the U.S. for the 4th of July, this is a very nice forecast, and we do have some showers across Montana, so that, that could be a bit of a bummer for some across. You can see Bozeman, Billings, staying kind of dry there. So it may not be the perfect for the weather for fireworks, but I know a lot of these locations need their rain, so I'm pretty sure they're willing to take that. Notice across Idaho, some showers as well, and these monsoon rains across New Mexico and Arizona. You can see very, very slow moving. Look at these kind of lines right there, just barely moving but dropping much needed rainfall. And the thunderstorm movement is rather unique. Usually you'd see it moving kind of away from the southwest. Look at these. They're kind of moving towards the southwestern direction, which is definitely interesting. I noticed some rain across Colorado as well. Definitely something that's welcome, though. But yeah, overall, not a bad forecast for Canada. Notice there is a bit of rain across Alberta, into Ontario, some showers and storms flaring up across the North Woods, but nothing too significant really to kind of talk about yet. Again, the significance might be just the lack of stuff going on across the Northwest, the lack of rain. European, let's take a look at the anomalies. Notice, very warm today across portions of southern or central Ontario, southern Canada, a lot of the northern United States, and this stretches pretty much from coast to coast, excluding the southern U.S. It's very warm, and that will continue. Notice tomorrow also a very warm day for many across the Great Lakes, the Northeast, but notice we do have this very cool air mass that plows through most of Canada and into the northern U.S. by Wednesday. A lot large cities, Ontario, Toronto, Quebec, Ottawa, cooling off probably late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. And again, the heat kind of gets suppressed towards the northeast and portions of the mid-Atlantic. Notice, unfortunately, the west is baking in that heat. But notice that, again, with that cool off that comes from Canada, it does kind of keep things regulated. While there will be some pockets of above average temperatures, it's not, you could see like 24 or 30. It's in the single digits, which is tolerable and expected, as usually averages are made from it being above on a few days, below on a certain other days. So again, really relatively tolerable temperatures on both sides of the spectrum here. And notice it does start favoring some pretty cool temperatures, in fact. And again, the pockets of warmth continuing. Notice the northwest, the west, even the southwest, kind of all of western Canada being very rather warm, above average. That's considered a pretty large heat wave. Look at that anomaly. That's pretty significant. Notice the cool air right here. This pattern is stubborn. It's kind of mimicking what we saw last week, and that's exactly what's going to be happening. Notice there are some days or nights where it's pretty close to average, but generally for now, as you saw on the Climate Prediction Center, cooler across the south. Then the kind of the east, portions of the northeast, maybe the northern plains, but mainly where the heat is, it's across the west end. Notice that's what they're showing in terms of precipitation. Let's just take a look at the 240 hours. There will be quite a bit of activity across the Minnesota area, Wisconsin. A lot of these areas are drying out a bit, so they need some of that. I'm missing out on some areas. Obviously, that's the nature of these storms, but again, this model probably doesn't do it perfect justice. But look at that, New Mexico continued rain. Texas, northern Mexico seeing quite a bit where that tropical storm tracks. obviously quite a bit. Probably in a double digits amount, some rain. But yeah, definitely not good. This is the part that's very concerning. Look at that. There's nothing here, and the heat will be rather oppressive, as you saw, and it has been. And the lack of precipitation will be a concern. Let's take a look at the GFS. It's a precip, or it's simulated radar forecast. Notice, look at that. Tomorrow, we see storms erupting across the northern plains. This is tomorrow during the evening. This kind of shifts down. This cold front combines with the tropical moisture energy from the tropical storm Elsa, and notice that slides off the northeast. But then by this upcoming weekend, pretty nasty, significant system. Look at that. Probably some powerful thunderstorms there across Minnesota. This slides into Illinois, Indiana. Pretty powerful cold front across the panhandles of Texas, Oklahoma. But again, notice not much going on here. Quite a bit of activity over here, at least more typical, and not much across the northwest. A bit across the southwest, definitely way more than last year at this time. Notice another tropical disturbance of some kind moving in there. But if you're to take a look at the radar, total accumulated precip through 384 hours, notice, again, not much here. And decent amounts across further east and even towards the southwest, which is also pretty welcome there. Let's take a glance now at the GFS temperatures. Let's just take a look at the ensemble, actually, since... this is kind of a more probably better way to look at it. So again, this is 30 or 31 models combined into one graphic. And notice we have some warm air squeezing into the northern U.S. today. But then look, the south staying relatively cool. And we have that cool blast of air that moves in towards the east. And that does affect a lot of folks east of the Mississippi. But, again, the west unfortunately staying warm and dry. And look at that cool air, rather expansive, and you can see the models do agree on that. This is now Friday, this is now Saturday. A bit warmer during the nights, or comparatively to average. This is why it almost disappears on some images right there, and you can see it's more below average during the day. Notice though, southwestern Canada, I would say all of western Canada and the western US staying very, very warm. And yeah, quite stunning anomalies even this far out with 200 hours, to be honest, with that heat. But notice the cool air does favor the southern and eastern US, but it starts getting kind of surrounded. Notice a bit of heat getting into the northeast, southern Canada, the west, but definitely a stubborn pattern nonetheless. And you can see towards the end, weather models obviously are probably more inaccurate, but they're still favoring a similar pattern. Obviously more maybe towards the heat, kind of dominating the rest of the US rather than the cool air. But again, that is still hard to see, and we'll just have to wait and see what the models show. This is the European ensembles, but they are a bit higher up in the atmosphere here, which is why I don't like forecasting for or showing this. But notice that they are showing a similar pattern where the cool air is to where the GFS show it, and the warm air is further towards the west. We'll just have to wait and see on how this pattern unfolds. Hopefully we do get some precipitation that comes towards the northwest, and we get more of a pattern that's a bit more rotative with not stuck in such a cycle, because that isn't good for either side. The central US has seen some very, very heavy rains this past few weeks, and the northwest as a result have seen that heat that has been just stuck there because of that pattern. They're just basically locking themselves out, these two systems, and they're not budging. So it's just been going on for a while, and it'll continue to look like that. As you can see, Climate Prediction Center actually favors that. And if you take a glance at it again, these forecasts, look at that 6 to 10 days outlook and the 8 to 14 day outlook look rather similar. Notice very similar pattern. So hopefully that does break. We get some rain for the northwest, a bit of warmth towards the rest of the United States, but definitely getting the worst of it, the northwest, with those drought conditions. And a lot of these locations are already in very bad drought, so definitely not good. But for now, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all on the next episode. See y'all.